This week, Jessica Mendoza became the first woman to call a Major League Baseball playoff game when she worked as an analyst during the Astros-Yankees play-in game. Mendoza is a two-time Olympian who won gold and silver medals in softball and a four-time All-American at Stanford. But for some people, her credentials weren't enough. A parade of insecure men assembled on Twitter to protest a woman analyzing their precious man sports, and the parade's grand marshal was Mike Bell, a sports talk radio host in Atlanta whose show, according to a colleague of mine, is, quote, a big rolling ball of audio garbage. Bell fired off a series of tweets criticizing Mendoza and ESPN's feminist agenda and wondered why ESPN wasn't using a more qualified baseball player instead of a softball player. Actually, Mike, they do have someone technically more qualified, but he's too busy being your racist uncle on Facebook. Bell then capped off his little meltdown by calling Mendoza Tits McGee, apparently not recognizing the irony of quoting Anchorman, a movie that lampoons the sexism of men threatened by women in the workplace. Also, who spells McGee with an H? Not the Irish. Bell has since issued an apology and been suspended, but this sort of outburst is sadly not unusual for the steak-headed man babies of sports talk radio. Remember Damon Bruce? He's the goateed septic tank who got suspended in 2013 for a 9-minute sexist rant.
For some of you, this is going to come across as very misogynistic. I don't care because I'm very right.
Let me just step in here and offer some general advice about talking in a public forum. If you feel the need to preface a statement with something like, "This might sound hateful to women, but," just go ahead and don't finish that thought out loud. File it away next to, "I'm not anti-Semitic, but here's the thing about the Jews." Just now.
All of this world of sports, especially the sport of football, has a setting. It's set to men. We're not changing a thing. It's a man's world. It's the last place where men will be men. This is guy stuff.
Guy stuff. You know what else is guy stuff for Bruce? Using his press pass to take creep shots of players' wives during a clubhouse celebration. Yeah, the Giants revoked his credential during their 2012 World Series run, but somehow Bruce kept his job. And he still has a drive time show in the Bay Area. Remember that the next time you think San Francisco is progressive.
Sports are set to the dial of men. Doesn't mean men only, but that's the setting. And I'm not going to allow it to be changed.
Here's the thing, Dame. If you actually controlled the old sports dial, you wouldn't be working in sports talk radio. Of course, misogyny in sports isn't limited to jizzer and fart bag in the morning. It's something that women deal with every day thanks to social media. And if you haven't read Julie DeCaro's essay about the endless stream of threats and verbal abuse women in sports receive, it is eye-opening and horrifying. Basically, there are more C words in a female announcer's Twitter mentions than a Noel Gallagher interview. More threats of violence too, but just barely. By the way, I'm not trying to be some knight in shining armor riding in to save defenseless women. Women in sports are already doing a heroic job of standing up to sexism by the simple act of doing a difficult job in a hostile environment. I merely have a message to the men out there who think women can't or shouldn't talk about sports. Listen, dudes, I've got some solid meathead credentials. I was in a college fraternity, I served in the Marine Corps, and I used to run a sports blog that posted pictures of hot babes. I am your meathead conciliary, and I'm telling you, no one's asking you to give up steak or gambling or eating at Hooters with your bros. All I'm asking you to do is evaluate a woman in sports by the content of what she says. Don't comment on how she looks, don't complain about hearing a woman's voice, don't speculate about how she got the job, and don't threaten or wish violence on her. That's it. I'm not trying to put scented candles in your man cave. I just want you to be decent to other human beings. And listen, I understand the frustration with a world that's increasingly sensitive to people's feelings. When I first started writing online, I used the pseudonym Captain Caveman because it was aggressive and manly. As a man, it's gratifying to be in touch with the primal side of your brain. Except, here's the thing about acting like a caveman. Researchers have discovered that men who harass women online are actually less skilled than the women they're putting down. There's mounting evidence that sexism is essentially a Neanderthal defense mechanism for low-status, non-dominant men trying to maintain a shaky grip on the women in their cave. So go ahead and take pride in acting like a caveman when you say women don't belong in sports. Just know that you're the caveman no one wants to f***. Guys, this is the choice you have. You can go with the flow as the world of sports becomes more diverse, or you can thrash around in a shrinking circle of bitter white men who are drowning in the rising tides of equality. You can choose the latter, but your voice is just going to get smaller as you get washed out to sea. I recommend grabbing onto a life preserver and getting on the right side of history.